another episode of Cancer Tamer. I'm your host, Dr. Charlie Ferrer. And today, as always, we have a special guest with us. Not the same guest all the time, but this time we have a great guest called Elana Haros. And also my co-host, Deborah Santulli-Barone, is with us today. So we want to talk a little bit about the different aspects of bringing ourselves and feeling comfortable with our bodies and feeling comfortable with our spirituality and ourselves in what's going on in our lives. And what I found amazing is how the universe brings people into your life. So this weekend I decided to go to the Holistic Expo that was here on Staten Island, and just as I'm leaving I decided to go back in because I thought I was missing something in meeting someone. And so I walked in, and right there was this young lady called Elana Haros, who does soul therapy and NLP education and life coaching. So welcome to our show.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I'm a life coach, as you had mentioned. I'm also a Reiki master, and I incorporate a lot of different modalities into my work, custom tailored to whatever the individual needs. So I love bringing energy work into it because that's my passion, but I still always tailor it to what they need. One of the main things that I like to focus on is thought patterns, where people are.
So tell me a little bit about the thought patterns. And that was part of what we were talking about, and we just stood there and just started talking about the thought patterns and the way people think. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So a while back, I had read a book, and it really, had me become the observer of my thoughts, which incredibly was a remarkable part of my journey. And so what I would say is to pay attention to where you spend most of your time in your thoughts. So if you have a little bit of a time on a commute, and where are your thoughts going? Grab a little journal with you. Become familiar with the patterns, and only then can you understand where you're really at and gauge how you want to, custom tailor your life. So this is a good baseline for understanding what's happening in your life, mind, body, and spirit, and it all begins with your thoughts.
And it's so important to notice what we're saying to ourselves, what we're thinking about. Because if we're not conscientious of what we're thinking about, then we end up thinking about anything.
Right,
And
or negativity too. Like in the morning when I'm putting my makeup on, I noticed today that I had a lot of negative thoughts, and it's the same thoughts every morning. So today I said, okay, Deborah, stop it. Maybe that will stop the other things in your life that are negative, because it's such a habit, I don't even plan it. It's so deep down.
And it's that whole idea of when you wake up in the morning, do you say, good God, it's morning. Look at another beautiful day I have. Or, good God, it's morning.
Right.
So where are you putting your energy at? And what are you allowing your thoughts to be? And I remember just the other day I was talking to someone had called me. My sister had called me. And she's like, hi, how's it going? What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm changing my thoughts. So give me like 5 more minutes
Oh, wow.
so that I can change my thoughts. And she's like, what? And I'm like, my thoughts are really negative right now. So just call me back in 5 minutes. They'll be better.
Oh, that's a good way of handling things.
And it was that whole idea was, she was going, well, how can you change your thoughts? If you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. And that's not true. If you're having a bad day, all you have to do is change that thought and you'll have a better day.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But how did you wind up starting this? Was it something that happened to you that you felt that was negative and that you needed to make positives?
Well, I do want to say that I was born self-reflecting. That's just been my nature, and to always ask questions. And I was, a little kid that liked philosophy.
So you were the kid that drove you crazy? Like, why is that? Why? Why is that?
That's so funny.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
I was
That's
always
good.
interested in why, and I liked Socrates from a young age. It's not just because I'm half Greek. I appreciated the whole questioning and really understanding and getting the deeper levels of learning through questioning more. I also didn't believe things that were told to me as a young child. I got into more of the believing stuff, I would say, in my late teens, 20s, which is pretty interesting. It's kind of like the more you become an adult, sometimes And when you're out in the world, then the universe, you realize how much you're influenced by the collective, you know?
Right.
Right.
So going back to when I was a child, and I didn't believe it, I remember even seeing in my backyard, there was, you know, when there was like a dead bug or something. I wouldn't believe that that was the end. These were the things that I just didn't believe. I was very existential.
But that's good. I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea. I'm looking for answers, more of medical stuff than anything else, I guess, on that topic, where there's got to be an answer to something. But I'm learning with science, sometimes there is no answer, but I keep, you know, that's my quest. I kind of drive myself crazy sometimes, but you know, but it's good to question. Right?
And I think
Yeah.
we influence the answer by our thoughts, because we can have a predetermined thought in our head saying, "Oh, well, this is how it's going to be."
Right.
And so once you stay there, then and you're believing that, then you're not letting yourself be open to other possibilities. And that's the piece. We need to question, we need to be open to other possibilities, because as a society we're so stuck in our ways.
Right.
You know, we eat meat and potatoes, or we eat veggies and potatoes, or we eat, you know, and so it's the same thing, the same pattern. We follow what others do. So I have this great analogy that I used to use for my students. And it was a mother and a daughter cooking turkey, or cooking Thanksgiving, right? And so the mother and the daughter are there. They're putting the ham in the pan, and the mother cuts off the edges. And the daughter goes, "Well, Mom, why are you cutting off the edges?" And the mother goes, "I don't know. Your grandmother always used to do that. Why don't you ask your grandmother?" So the little girl goes into the living room. She goes, "Grandma, why do you cut off the edges?" And she goes, "I don't know. My mother used to do that. Why don't you ask your great-grandmother?" And so she turns to the other woman and she goes, "Great-grandma, why do you cut the edges off the ham?" And she goes, "Never had a pan big enough to fit the whole thing."
Oh, that's a good one.
So it is that piece of, you know, what are you following? What are you believing?
Right.
Are you taking it at face value, or at having no thought whatsoever?
Right, and it just carries on. Yeah.
And now I truly believe that when we just take things like that, we're creating a void of our own power. And we're moving further away from self-love. So our thoughts become our emotions, and our beliefs, everything's very much intertwined. And it's really, really important to go through that's just a fun example, but that really lays the groundwork for everything that happens in our lives. We repeat things our parents said, and people say, just because we repeat them and we're on autopilot, and that happens to everyone, there's no reason to feel badly about it. Right. But what's amazing is when you could sit there and say to yourself, is this really mine?
Yeah.
How do I feel about this? You're gonna get some pretty interesting answers. And more often, you're like, no, that sounds like my mom or my whoever, and that puts you in a place of power, and that feels really, really good.
Right.
And that really helps mitigate alignment, which leads to complete health, mind, body, and spirit. So that's where you want to be. You want to be the master of your own thoughts, you know, sit there and look through the patterns when you're just rolling through, like you would say, which is what happens to everyone.
Right.
And energy is everywhere. So the person next to you on the express bus on the way to work, they're having their own energy and thoughts, and, you know, quantum fields, all of this stuff is science and true. You know, things cross barriers and whatnot. So really own your energy, know and love who you are, question it, and you know, embody your power, because there's so much to explore and it's fun.
Yeah. And notice if it's yours or somebody else's.
Right,
Because
which
you
is
mentioned
hard.
the people
Yes.
sitting next to you, or the people in your family, or even your spouse or your kids, because you'll start gravitating towards whatever they do. And the bad thing is that sometimes those thoughts are bad. You know, it's kind of like this morning. I went to the bank, and the lady's like, "Oh, it's so freezing cold outside." And I'm like, "Really?
Really?
I don't think so." You know, like I've got a coat, I got,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm feeling pretty good.
Right.
But it's not a bad day.
No.
Because she was going, "It's so cold outside, it's a miserable day." I'm like, "No, it's not. It's really pretty. I'm alive."
Right.
That helps a lot, you know,
So,
that's true.
You know, so every morning when I wake up, and I remember hearing it from quite a few people, like the woman from The Secret and the woman with the 5-second rule, because I'm forgetting names here. But, you know, they always talk about start your day with gratitude.
Right,
Start your day
affirmations,
with,
right.
just a hello day. And so I always lay in bed when I start waking up and I just start saying, I'm thankful I'm alive. I'm thankful for the people in my life. I'm thankful for my friend Deborah. I'm thankful for my sisters.
You're so sweet.
I'm thankful that even for my son who's arguing with me at the moment, it's like I'm still happy that he's around.
Right, and he's alive, and you're
he's
alive.
alive and so
Right.
on. And I'm thankful that I have one more day.
Right.
And sure, now what am I going to do with it?
No, that's
and,
good.
And so bringing that energy, that.
Well, you do have a
that-
lot of energy and positive.
But it's
which
because
is
I
nice.
choose to be very conscientious of my thoughts.
Right.
And that's the piece that I think with your program and with other speakers and great philosophers out there and powerful speakers, that the whole focus is on what are you thinking? Where are you placing your energy? Where are you placing your thoughts? You want to be miserable, choose a day to be miserable.
Right, but don't do
But
it all
don't
the
be
time.
miserable all day long.
Right, that's true.
Choose a date and a time. Okay, I got 5 minutes. Like I told my sister, give me 5 minutes, I'll change my
No,
thoughts.
that's great. I
You
love
know?
that.
It doesn't always work.
Right. Hey, listen.
It doesn't always work. But making the acknowledgement of, I want to be miserable today.
Right.
And that's okay. Everybody's entitled to be
Right.
miserable for a day. But
Yeah,
what are you
get
going to do
over
after that?
Yeah,
It's like, okay, today I'm scheduling it in.
Right.
And I actually do schedule in my I'm getting away from the world days because I'm just like
Yeah.
I'm staying
got
in
the right
bed or
idea.
I don't want to be bothered by the world.
Right.
And I stay in my own little hubby, in my own little cubby in my apartment, and I won't go out for the day. And I just don't want to be bothered by the world. But then tomorrow I'm kicking butt.
Right.
See, now I would call that retreating and self-care. I would say that was honoring yourself. I wouldn't even say it was a miserable day
Oh.
at all.
No, I that's
really
a good
would. I'm
thing.
like, wow,
It's true.
Such a beautiful testament to self-care right there.
Which is hard to do. But I'm curious, how does one find you? And once you have someone come to you, what do you do?
Well, I love going through these things first, the thought patterns, right? Also making a list of everything that no longer serves you that you want to release, because you really can. You really can let things go. I like to do a little ceremony around it, incorporate a couple of fun things depending on what somebody's into.
And you were telling me that there's a ritual, I'm going to grab this little baggie, that there's a ritual that you do, a 4 or 3 day ritual?
Yes.
Can you tell me about that?
So this is pretty awesome. So I'm big into clearing out the energy first, right? And because everything is intention based, and your intention is so powerful, and what you give your power to becomes powerful. So I have been, given the gift to create these things that I'm really grateful for, and a lot of them come with instructions that I'm claircognizant of, like, oh, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, all right, and making these things.
So tell me about this little baggie. So this is the 3 day cleansing.
Yeah, so this is the 3 day ceremonial bath for clearing and alignment.
Okay.
So you take, it's funny because it's so tiny, right? So there's all organic ingredients. They've all been, yes, absolutely. They've all been Reiki'd and said a couple of blessings over. And
you have salt crystals in here too.
Yeah, so there's Himalayan salt crystals in there as well. There's some fresh lavender,
Looks like chamomile.
essential oils, and chamomile too. So you fill your bathtub with water, right? I really feel that it's important for everyone to do their own blessings on top of everything. So I like to get people in the habit of doing that, because you're a creator by nature. We all are. So, and you have all of the power in your own universe. So activate that with ritual, sends a big message to the universe. So doing that over your bath water with the intentions. I am, setting up this bath, and I have it all written out and what to say, for clearing and alignment. And it's all about self-love and self-care and taking care of yourself. And then you're going to sprinkle, it's 1/3 of it for each day. And you're doing that for 3 days. If you really want to max it out, bring that list with you of all of the things that you want to let go of as well. A past hurt that you thought you've forgotten, but it just keeps coming back. Maybe you're having some dreams, lingering things, fears, bring them to the bath. Really, really use your creative power of imagery like you would as a child. When the water is draining out, picture all of those things going down the drain with it, and know that it is working. don't take it back the next day.
Yeah, and that's one of the
It
things that
worked.
we do. We
It
turn
worked.
around and go, well, did it really work? I'm
Right,
not
and
sure it would
question
really
it,
work. It
yeah.
wouldn't work. And the minute you start bringing in that negativity and that doubt, you're already questioning, and so you're not allowing it to work, because it did work.
Right, it worked.
It worked. That's
worked.
why you're questioning it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I really
I
like
like
the idea of, doing the ritual. And some people say, oh, well, that's, that's pagan or that's hokey or whatever. But you know what? And I once heard them say that ritual and prayer are the same thing. Just you're doing something a little bit, you're taking it a little bit further.
Right.
So, you're doing a repeat of comfort. So this is comforting. By doing that ritual, you're actually putting so much more intent, so much more attention.
Right, and just
to
a focus
what you're
too, a
doing.
positive focus
Oh, yeah,
to something.
Yeah,
positive
and you're
focus.
and you're not going into the autopilot.
Right.
Oh yeah, I have to
Yes.
talk today about what bothers me and is it bad. It's it's like no. Let me address that one. Let me address this one. And I've actually, because I do a lot of therapy with individuals, and so you always hear them say, "Oh well, I don't want to address that. That's bad." But the thing is that.
If it's bad, you
You're-
should, right?
No, it's not so much that if it's bad, you should. It's the fact that you're avoiding it is actually there and manifesting in other ways, and so you're stuck.
Right.
You're like, no, I'm not going to see it. It's kind of like I don't see the monster because I don't look to the left. There's no monster under my bed because I'm
not
keeping my
looking.
eyes closed.
Right.
And so that's the piece, and that's a very childish way of looking at life, and then that also keeps you in the childish mentality.
Right, and then it
So you
doesn't
get
work.
stuck in that. So I'm kind of taking it into a little bit of therapy, but like the kid, when your kid is mad at you because you did something 20 years ago, it's because they're still stuck in that childish mentality, that childish hurt. And until they get rid of that,
Yeah.
it's going to keep coming up another 30, 40 years.
And that's another thing you can add to the bath, as a part of ritual. Okay, so which version of myself do I want to take a bath today? Maybe it's the
I thought
5-year-old
about that.
me that was embarrassed in kindergarten, or
Right.
just anything you really want to let go, and it's you and you. So in your example before, if someone is in avoidance, which by the way is just another name for fear. Fear has many names. One is procrastination, being frugal, avoidance. They all go under the fear category. So within bringing that child with you, it's just you, and it's safe. And then you can add safety to the bath too. You can just get creative with it, and it's a beautiful blessing. It really
that's
is.
really cool.
So you're not there, of course, when they're taking the bath.
No, but I would definitely invite Dr. Sean.
But
bubble bath.
yeah, right. So you instruct them. They follow that with that. Do they use any
Right.
of these sprays, or that's different?
That's separate, but
Oh, okay.
anything can be used together, to complement and
And so
supplement.
I guess you can also purchase these, or you can make your own. So you can look up different ways of what you would like to bring and the different properties that you would like to bring. So I know we talked about the lavender piece. It's like I can't
She
do
can't
lavender.
stand lavender,
I can't
right?
stand lavender, and lavender is so wonderful to help
Yeah.
calm you down and help you get into a relaxed state. But for me, I get very, very agitated with lavender, and so noticing it's like, oh, that doesn't work. Let's try the other one.
Right.
Chamomile does not work for me, but you give
Oh.
me peppermint, I'm calm.
Interesting.
Right.
And peppermint has the property of giving you energy.
Right.
So it's hysterical that energy actually calms me down. But it's also my own body chemistry.
Right,
It's
and how
just
it
like
absorbs.
it's also and this is slightly off topic, but for individuals that suffer from bipolar depression and bipolar medical issues, the caffeine actually calms them down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so you can always tell, just like somebody on Ritalin, when you have a child that's put on Ritalin because they have ADHD, if you see that child bouncing off the walls, they do not need Ritalin. It's actually they don't have ADHD. It's just that they're a kid and they got tons of energy, and so you can always tell the difference. So the beauty of this is building your own ritual, putting in what makes you feel better, finding what that is. So some people like, and I remember Calgon used to be so great
Oh
when
my
we were
gosh, yeah,
kids,
Calgon.
remember?
I remember the
And you
commercial.
put the little Calgon in your bath,
You're
or you
supposed
put
to
bubble
relax.
bath, and you get to relax. But as you go in there, I think the beauty of the bath was the fact that nobody bothered you. You know, you could lock your door and you could say, I'm in the bathroom, you know, or you could.
I mean, that is.
And you have the
yeah.
water for cleansing. So.
And I always say this as an example too for my clients. You know, just if they need to regroup, get grounded anywhere, find a home base. And it's almost always certain that a home base is a bathroom because no one's really bothering anybody in the bathroom.
Yeah, I spent a lot of
They
time
leave
there.
you alone.
Just
Socially
to
acceptable,
hide.
private time, sacred
Just to
space.
hide.
So
Yeah.
use it. You
I
know,
have
if you
to
need
say-
to, you know,
Yeah.
flee yourself from whatever energies are going on and just say, all right, I'm safe. Home base, find
Yeah.
a bathroom.
And I have to say, when I was a kid, I used to go and hide in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's
You know,
I still
and
do.
and you'd see
I
me
do.
like an hour later, you know,
Yeah.
people are, get
Yeah,
out. I
what's
need
wrong
to-"
with you?
You know, and then I would come out. But
Yeah.
it was that piece of, you know, I had three sisters
Sanctuary.
and everybody else,
Yeah.
and it was just, I just needed my own little quiet place. And that was the only quiet place. And so it allowed me to, you know, be able to come up with ideas or whatever. And I like the aspect of being able to cleanse. So if you ever notice, there's always that cleansing piece going on. And the water actually helps as reinforcing the cleansing. Because water is associated with emotion. So, you know, so like when you have dreams that you're drowning, or you have dreams that you're in the water and the boat's sinking and things like that, that's all emotions. All that water is your emotion. And so being able to wash away what you don't want, and also to wash in what you do.
Right.
Exactly.
So that's the piece that I think is also sometimes we forget. Yeah, we're getting rid of all these negativities, and you're leaving a void. So having to talk about, if you could talk a little bit about the void, we don't want to
Yes.
leave the void because then all those, that thought might be washed away, but here's another bad thought. And so being able to fill it with the positive, with the good things
Right,
that
because
we
people
need.
that have voids, they fulfill them sometimes in the wrong way, negative, you know, in a
Right.
negative way, either to, you know, drinking, doing drugs, robbing, whatever, or having a lot of sex. I mean,
I
you know,
like a lot of
no,
sex.
no, but you know what I mean. But for the wrong reasons, and then they realize they can't really fill them. You know,
Right.
so how do you work with
So
that?
I think, and you know, just to put this out there too, I mean, there's triggers all around us all the time, right? And it's so important to have so many of these tools, and knowing how to, you know, you get into the ritual of clearing and then the void. So even if the void is created in other ways, it's really helpful to always have these tools to go to. And in the instance of the bath, we have a mantra, I love myself.
Oh.
You breathe in, I love myself, and you breathe out, and the universe loves me.
Oh, I like that.
And
Yeah,
that
that's a
feels
nice one.
really, really good. And it's true. It is absolutely true.
myself.
So you are filling yourself in a circuit. You're feeling a circuit of love that's
Right.
going on in the bath. And don't forget, we're almost all water too.
That's
So
true. That's true.
it feels really good. And on top of everything, the most important thing that this does is this is you scheduling time with you for you. We really don't carve out that time for
Right.
ourselves, or we get distracted and busy and things take us away. So even if it's something that takes 25 minutes out of your day, believe me, it's doing a lot on your body, your mind, your heart, your capacity for kindness, everything.
Yeah, and it is finding, and one of the things when I do therapy with people, I always say take a half hour, and I always have the most resistance on that. What do you mean take a half hour? You know how much time I have to, and my family, and this and that, and look at what else I have going. And it's like, okay, I no longer say take a half hour. I say take 5 minutes. You know, just take 5 minutes. Just hide in the bathroom for 5 minutes. Go downstairs and do a smoke break. Don't smoke, but do a smoke break. You know, go sit in your car and just stare. And it's okay. It's this 5 minutes that you have to be able to calm yourself out, even if the calming is not having any thoughts, because
Right.
that's also calming too. Just get rid of the thoughts. But if you're, you know, you can read a positive note, you can read an inspiration, you can read, you know, something that's going to inspire you. Because I think what we do is that when we have those 5 minutes, when we have that 30 minutes, we fill it up with junk. We fill it up with a spooky movie, with, Criminal Minds, with, something that's not really positive. And then we wonder why we don't have enough time. And so what are you filling your time up with? And that's kind of what we're talking about here. What are your thoughts? Thoughts become things. And so if you don't monitor your thoughts, you're not going to be able to monitor your life, and it's going to spiral out of control.
So that's a great segue for
Right,
talking
always.
about the sprays too, because they connect you with your 5 senses, and they invite you to be mindful, right? So that one is trust. So trust was created with the intention of, okay, let's say you're having one of those days where you get to the whole, why me program. A couple of bad series of events go on, or seemingly you're deciding that there are a bad series of events going on in the day.
This.
And it really just takes you back to, and it has a mantra on the back that I've channeled, to knowing that and trusting that the universe is conspiring in your favor. You may not be able to see it, touch it, feel it, taste it with your 5 senses, but there are other senses going on behind the scenes that are taking care of things, and trust that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
How do you know for sure what to do when a person comes to you, your client comes to you? How do you figure out what's the best solution? Do you do all? Do you just do the bath? Do you do the sprays? Like, how do you determine?
Yeah, I like to talk to them and find out what their needs are, where they want to go with this. And I never come from the philosophy of that somebody's broken, they need to be fixed. That's more of a traditional talk therapy modality, if you will. Then I don't really subscribe to in coaching. We do a wheel, and you kind of give a 1 to 10 on recreation, career, relationships, that sort of thing. And where can I feel more joy, fulfillment, happiness?
Right.
And understand where you can grow and expand. It's
Right.
growing and expanding. And moving out of the limiting belief
Yeah, that's wonderful. I remember there being, you make a circle on a piece of paper, and then you split up that wheel into the health and the relationships and the work and the career and the kids. And then you draw in how much energy or how wonderful you feel in each one. And then you notice, will that wheel turn? Or will it be clupunking everywhere? Because then you end up having where it's like, okay, I give like 80% to my career, 10% to myself, 30% to my kids, 5%. So imagine how that wheel is going to turn, if it's even going to be able to turn.
Yeah.
And so being able to find ways that will help you, whether it's in a mist that will remind you. And I like the mist idea, because it's like, okay, if I'm feeling bad, let me spray myself.
And know that it's working.
And I know that it's working. And that's the beauty of it. It's like the minute that you start doubting, well, of course it's not going to work, because you're already saying, well, it's not working. And so just when you have that doubt, just believe that it will. We can believe in monsters in the closet. Why can't we believe that we're getting better? Why can't we believe that our day is going to be so fantastic? And so that goes back to what we started with on the show, is what's our belief? What are we thinking of? How are we controlling our thoughts in order to control our lives? Or are we letting other people control us by the mere fact that we're not being conscientious of ourselves and our thoughts?
So I would start with awareness. And that's what, believe me, that wheel, people are blown away on where they land in these spots, the same way that they're blown away by how much time they spend in different thoughts. So I always start with awareness.
Yeah. And how long do you stay with a client?
And so,
First time, an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
And so, as you see right now, you've been listening to us for over 30 minutes. And it's amazing how much time goes by and how quickly it goes. And so notice for yourself how quickly your thoughts flow through. So watch those thoughts, be conscientious of what you're doing, build rituals for yourself to be able to empower yourself as you go along. And we're almost at the end of the year. So what are you going to do for next year? How are you going to create not only this beautiful day, but the rest of the years and the lives that you got going. So I'm Dr. Charlie Ferrer. You've been listening to Cancer Tamer. Thank you so much for being with us, and have a wonderful day.
And look on our website if we want more information.
Please go to our website to get information, www.cancertamer.org. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.
Gotta have some more.
Yeah, you gotta spray these. So, yeah, this is what you, so you say it and spray it.
Awesome.
All right.
God, the more I mess
Sorry
with this,
if we,
the more it smells so damn great.
But lavender, this is lavender and chamomile.
Really?
Now. That used to be your arch nemesis. Maybe